Hey everybody, it's Drew with Universal Audio, and in this video, I want to spotlight some of my favorite vocal mixing plugins. Along the way, I'm going to give you some tips, tricks, and best practices that will improve your vocal mixing for sure. We'll look at a few insert-based vocal chains using a variety of UAD plugins and some third parties as well. And I've got two songs for you today. One is an aggressive vocal that needs to cut through a big fat mix. The other is a breathier vocal in a lighter pop song. We've got a lot to cover, so let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is tuning. Tuning should always be first in the chain. And today I'm using Melodyne in Luna. So as you can see, I've got it first in the slot. And note that there's no tape in the tape slot before it. I want to capture the raw vocal sound. And pro tip number one, if you're using Melodyne in Luna, before you click the transfer button, be sure that the path for transfers has been set. Melodyne wants to store things in your home directory, and I want my vocal tuning data to be stored and backed up in the Luna project. So we're going to click the gear icon here, choose Set Path for Transfers, and create a folder. I always create a folder called Mel or Melodyne, and I store it inside of the Luna project. Now, pro tip number two, when you're finished tuning the vocal and you have it exactly as you want, be sure to bounce it to disk. I can't be sure that this setup will recall the tuning perfectly 5 years from now or 10 years from now. You work hard tuning your vocals, be sure to do this important step. Now in Luna, that's done by right-clicking and choose Bounce Up to this insert. Luna will offline render the tuning and give you a fresh tuned track to start from. I'm not going to do that in this video for simplicity's sake, but I do it in the real world and it's important for sure. Okay, before we can look at the rest of this chain, let's listen to our raw vocal. I'm going to start with it in context and then I'm going to solo it partway through.
Call me two-faced bitch, I'm a Gemini. Yeah, you really fucked up and you made me cry. Go behind my back, tell your little lies. You know that I'm a Gemini.
So as you can hear, this vocal is coming and going. It's very dynamic, but she's doing some really cool stuff with her voice and her throat, and I can't hear half of it. And there's other parts where she's getting too loud and it's poking out in the mix. This is our starting point. So let's dive in. First up is Soothe. Soothe is always right after the tuning for me. And I start with the factory default with a couple of modifications. I typically change hard to soft, and I reduce the depth from 3 to 1. Occasionally, I will adjust the oversample and the resolution, especially if it is a lead vocal. I like to think of it as pre-processing resonance control. Let's give it a listen.
Call me two-faced bitch, I'm a Gemini. Yeah, you really fucked up and you made me cry. Go behind my back, tell your little lies. You know that I'm a Gemini.
So it's super subtle, but it sets the stage for the rest of the chain. Next up is Studer. I like Studer at this position because I want it to react to the corrected vocal that Soothe has done. And I'm using the default Ampex 456 tape at 15 inches per second. It's going to subtly warm up the top and give me a little bit of tape saturation and tone. Let's give it a listen.
Call me two-faced bitch, I'm a Gemini. Yeah, you really fucked up and you made me cry. Go behind my back, tell your little lies. You know that I'm a Gemini.
So super subtle again, just like real tape is, but we have the subtlety of Soothe stacked on top of the subtlety of Studer. So this vocal's a little bit thin and a little bit harsh. So I'm going to follow the Studer with the Oxford Dynamic EQ. I don't always do this, but this vocal needed it, so I wanted to show it to you. I'm going to start with it off, then I'm going to turn it on, and then I'm going to solo the band that I've got set up here. I'm targeting the upper mids and some of the harsher high end. Take a listen.
Call me two-faced bitch, I'm a Gemini. Yeah, you really fucked up and you made me cry. Go behind my back, tell your little lies. You know that I'm.
So it's taming those high frequencies for me dynamically. This is very different than just EQing it out. And sometimes I will put this in front of the Studer. This time I happen to put it after the Studer, but it is really going to tame those frequencies for me. Now these next four go together. So I've got them all on the screen, and let me talk you through them and then we'll do some listening. First up is the 1084. This is my go-to vintage EQ, and I'm doing all of my normal stuff here. I've got a high pass at 70. I'm pushing a little bit of 220 to keep it thick. I've got a cut at 700, and I've got a little boost at 10K for some sheen. Now, pro tip for you, if you want to use the 1084 for saturation, it's got a couple of tricks up its sleeve to help you out. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If I come up to the input gain and I come up 1 click, 2 clicks, I've added 10 dB of drive into the preamp. Now, to compensate, if you come here to the -10 number on the fader, that is a click zone specifically set up for this feature. Now, I'm not doing it this time, so I'm going to go ahead and undo those, but that is a cool pro tip for sure. This vocal already pretty hot, and I'm getting saturation elsewhere in the chain, but I did want to show that one to you. Next up is the Fairchild 670. You've seen me use this in other videos, and I'm starting from Drew's vocal preset, which has the headroom screw turned up clockwise fully. If you're not familiar with the headroom screw, be sure to watch my UAD Spotlight video on the headroom screw. What it's doing is it's making sure that the maximum amount of signal is driven into the model so that as I compress, I get the most vintage coloration and tone. Now, after that, I have the distressor. The distressor for me is a more modern grab and hold kind of compressor. Its job is to park this vocal in the mix. After that, we have the Precision de-esser. This is an excellent de-esser. I love it at the end of the chain. It's incredibly transparent at grabbing sibilants, and if you've not used it, be sure to check it out. So to hear what all of these are doing, I'm going to play the vocal soloed, and I'm going to add each one in sequence so that you can hear what they're doing, and then I'll play it in context.
Call me two-faced, bitch, I'm a Gemini. Yeah, you really fucked up and you made me cry. Go behind my back, tell your little lies. You know that I'm a Gemini. Look at you, don't you think you're justified? Do you think you could hide where I couldn't find?
And now in context.
Call me two-faced, bitch, I'm a Gemini. Yeah, you really fucked up and you made me cry. Go behind my back, tell your little lies. You know that I'm a Gemini. Look at you, don't you think you're justified? Do you think you could hide where I couldn't find? Tell me down, cause I can't make up my mind. You know that I'm a Gemini.
So, it's in your face, it's aggressive, yes, it's heavily processed, but that's what this song called for, that's what I was going for, and it sounds awesome. On to the next example. Okay, so for this example, I've switched over to the breathier vocal on the lighter pop song. Before we take a look at this chain, let's go ahead and listen to this raw vocal in context. So this one suffers from the same issues as the other one. The vocal's floating in and out a bit, and it just doesn't have the presence that I want. This vocal is more breathy, and I really want to lean into that, and I want to make a really saturated, dark vocal track here. So let me walk you through the chain, and then we'll listen in context and soloed like we did before. So first up is Soothe, and nothing really has changed here. So let me move on to Studer. And over here, we have adjusted the inches per second, or the tape speed, down to 7.5 inches per second. This is further going to roll off some top end and darken it a little bit. And I've also driven the input up a tiny bit to get some gain and add some saturation. After that is the Pultec. Now the Pultec, as you can see, I'm doing the sort of Pultec trick, attenuate and boost at the same frequency on the low end. Of course, they're different filter types, so they don't counteract each other. They actually enhance each other. And it winds up being a low end boost and a low mid cut, which most people like the sound of. And you'll also notice that I'm using the high band set to broad to do a pretty significant boost at 12K to get some air into this. Even though I am going for a darker vibe, I want it to still sparkle. Now, the compressor I'm using is one that I love, love, love. It's the UAD 175. This thing has so much vibe, so much color, and it has some unique features. First of which is it has this low high switch in the upper left-hand corner, and setting it to high drives a ton of signal into it, and I love it for this application. And I'm still driving the input a good bit and then compensating for the output. And the last plugin in the chain is, again, the de-esser. So let me solo up the vocal and add each process as we go, and then we'll listen in context.
I'm holding on tight, but I'm losing touch. How could you do so little, make it hurt so much? And I won't let you waste my time, 'cause I know you were never mine. Couldn't care less if you let me go, 'cause maybe you missed out, I guess you'll never know. And you're somebody's Valentine, but I know you were never mine.
All right, so now let's listen in context. So we've got this super saturated, breathy, dark vocal, and I think it's working for the song and accentuates the performance. But what if that's not what you wanted? Let's do one more chain and let's go for super clean. Let's go for a clean version of this song. Let's check that out. So for this cleaner version, let's leave the beginning of the chain and the end of the chain alone, but swap out the middle. So the Studer, I've switched it to 30 inches per second, and I've reduced the input a little bit, still using the Ampex 456 tape formulation. And I've switched out to the API channel strip, and I'm gonna use it for compression and filtering, as well as my basic EQ. And I'm using its 15K band to open up that top end, and I'm doing a cut at 500. So let's hear it soloed, and I'll incrementally put them into the signal path, and then we'll hear it in context as we did before.
I'm holding on tight, but I'm losing touch. How could you do so little, make it hurt so much? And I won't let you waste my time, 'cause I know you were never mine. Couldn't care less if you let me go, 'cause maybe you missed out, I guess you'll never know. And you're somebody's Valentine, but I know.
And now let's hear that in context. So that's really a different approach from the previous one. Here I was going for more airiness, more openness, but it just goes to show how much impact these tools have. So I hope this video has given you some things to try in your next mix. Whether you've got a vocal that needs to cut through a mix, or you're dealing with a breathy, airy vocal in a pop mix, these vocal chains are great starting points. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified of all new UA content. And let me know in the comments, what would you like to see me cover in future videos? I want to hear your ideas. I'll see you next time.